Welcome to the OTA podcast where we discuss everything performance training. I'm Coach Chris Barnard. Let's get into it. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the OTA podcast. For this episode, what I wanted to discuss was another discussion that we had within our OTA coaching group, and essentially one that comes up with a lot of coaches that I talk with, and it's how to not only train athletes, but how to fill your gym with athletes, right? How to market to them, how to really, get more of them walking in the door. And I'm going to take a very general, broad spectrum approach to this, as opposed to really going over some very tactics and strategies, because I feel like tactics and strategies in this day and age are a dime a dozen. And what I mean by that is they're constantly evolving, changing. It's more about having the right infrastructure that can lead to executing the proper tactic and strategy. And what I mean by that is I'll take this in a three-prong approach. Number one is going to be for your actual service, right? I know we're in the industry of performance, right? Or strength coach, but you got to really wrap your mind around how you're communicating your services, what makes you unique. And it comes down to two things: your unique benefit and your unique proposition. Okay. So if I can derive an example of this, essentially what that means is, let's take a look at Pilates, right? So the unique benefit of Pilates is you're going to get an extremely strong core. Where this is all wrapped up in performance, right? And the first thing that pops in your mind when you think about Pilates is going to be a strong core, right? Strong hips and strong core. The unique proposition, or the thing that delivers those benefits, is going to be that table, right? The actual exercise that they're performing, the actual tool, resource that they're performing. So as a performance coach, you really need to understand who your demographic is, who you're working with, and what your specialty is. I got 10 times more successful when I shed being a jack of all trades and an expert at none, and solely focusing or making my messaging around developing the fastest and most explosive athletes. So speed and power is my game, right? Speed, power, agility. That's the undertones, I guess you could say, of what we really deliver, what our niche is. So even though it's all performance, we still screen athletes, we still perform flexibility, mobility, correctives, strength training. It's all wrapped up into the same program. However, on the outside, athletes know that they want to specialize in speed and power. They're going to come to Overtime Athlete. All right. So first thing you got to check in order is how you're going to communicate that. And then the next layer to that is developing your elevator pitch around your unique benefit and proposition. Essentially what that means is you want to effectively be able to communicate your services within 30 seconds. That's exactly what an elevator pitch is, right? Imagine yourself in an elevator and you were talking to a parent. Could you quickly convey, and not only convey, but make your services stand out so that she would remember you, and obviously have a want in you? So it's like, oh, I develop athlete speed in as little as 30 days, right? I'm not saying that's what we say, but you want to cultivate the way that you essentially communicate your services. Not only do you say that to prospects, people who haven't joined your gym, but you're going to say that to your people who are actually in your gym. And what you'll start to notice is people are going to start to repeat that same thing that you're saying out there, whether that be at little league games, high school games, at the mall, whatever it is, church, right? And you're going to have your parents start to actually market for you. Your athletes are going to start to market to other athletes for you. So that's number one. Number two is going to be from more of a strategic and tactical side, but I'm going to take a very broad bird's eye view approach to this. You need to make sure that you abide by a compounding effect when it comes to your marketing. Marketing is essentially awareness to your offer. So in doing so, you want to have the most efficient way of doing it. You want to be able to chop wood, carry water with your actual marketing strategies every single day. You need to have little tiny doses where you make sure that you hit on all three rungs 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, and allow those days to stack on top of each other, and essentially they compound over time and create more awareness and more buzz in your local area. Let's get into it. So what I like to say is, I like to use the metaphor of, you got to have 3 poles in the water at all times. And essentially this dates back to a story that I always tell about my pops. when he used to take me fishing when I was a young boy. If we ever went to a new place, he would always set up 3 poles with 3 different baits on the line. And essentially what he was trying to do is figure out what fish were biting for that particular day in that particular area, and then obviously increase our chances. And then once we figure out what bait works, you still have 3 poles out, so it overall increases your chance to fish. We never just sat there with 1 pole. You might cast and reel 1 pole, but you have those other 2 out that are going to increase your chances of catching those fish. You want to do the same thing with your marketing. So you should be having some kind of modality or tactic or strategy online. You should be on a daily basis working at something offline, and you should be working at something on a daily basis in-house. And that means with your current base of athletes. What's up, coaches? Real quickly, let me go ahead and introduce you to Performance Coach U certification. Now, this is the certification/course that I put together for coaches who want to train athletes and not only get results, but also maximize profits in the private sector. The problem that I saw with a lot of these courses and certifications out there for coaches was that they provided a lot of information and not a lot of application. So I wanted to pull back the covers over 10 plus years of experience and show you the ins and outs of actually being in the trenches so that you get maximum results while also scaling your business. So if you're interested in this, go ahead and check out the link down below and you can get more information. So online is essentially going to be all your social media platforms, whether you're running paid advertisement or advertisements through your social media posts. You want to get as efficient with your strategy as you can. The beauty about online is it's extremely efficient once you get a system down. So if it's posting, if it's reaching out to athletes, DMing them, if it's running an ad, make sure that you're doing it from 5 to 15 minutes a day. Put it down and make sure that those stack over time, and you will be surprised. I've had so many coaches who just try one strategy, go all out, spend 2-3 hours on setting it up or doing it, gets no results, and then they just throw it away. And that's not the game. That's not how you raise awareness in your local area for your services. Second one being offline, you got to get comfortable being belly to belly. So if this is meeting skills coaches, football, baseball, basketball, head coaches, assistant coaches, going over to the local high school or the little league. I got my first athletes by walking up to a travel ball baseball team. I walked up to it. I knew what field that they were practicing at. I knew they had athletes from ages like 8 all the way up to like 16, 17 years old. I found the head of it. He was in the kind of concession stand office. I told him I'd train his son for free if he allowed me to run a speed camp on the field a couple days a week. I had him announce it through email and through his message board. Started with 2 athletes. Quickly, I was having 30 plus athletes join those classes. And I was able to essentially extract them and move them over to my actual facility that I was renting at the time. But offline, you got to be able to have those conversations, and you got to be able to know the nuance of have a level of direct response where basically you present a call to action. Ask for the contact, ask for them. Don't just say, check us out, right? You got to be able to do something to elicit a response from them to essentially get them to act on something, and so you can follow up with them. Essentially, that's where you actually have a lead. And then finally is going to be your in-house rung, and this is going to be obviously utilizing your current athlete base to be able to essentially get referrals into your business. So there's a couple opportunities that you're going to have. One, immediately at the point of sale, once an athlete signs up, you can invite their teammates or friends. And then as a ongoing drip, you can run promotions and contests where you offer some kind of reward, like a free month, $100 bill. But also you can also have those one-to-one conversations as you build rapport with your athletes. But that's an ongoing thing that will continue to replenish, that a lot of performance coaches don't actually understand, is once you get to that level of about 75 or more athletes within your gym, what happens is you can actually almost ease up on your acquisition on the online and offline side, because your pool of athletes is going to continue to replenish itself over and over. So there you have it. And then on the last point that I want to make when it comes to marketing, and it's a little bit more of a common sense factor, and it goes without saying, is your results that you deliver in the development of your athletes is your actual biggest marketing tool. And this goes without saying, but what you have to understand is even if you're working with a small amount of athletes or a large, right? with a small amount of athletes, when I was working with only a handful, I knew I was going to devote all my time into really making a huge impact with that athlete, not only from a physical, but also from a mental. I was able to really spend time with them and really get them to succeed that next season. So much so that parents were asking, what was little Johnny doing, this past season? And then, that by that next off season, I was able to attract all his friends because all the parents were trying to keep up and make sure that their child was able to get the same type of development and really invest in them. Beyond that, if I have a group of them, it's just a matter of being able to consistently deliver an amazing result. And they're just going to go out there and they're going to speak volumes of you. Once you continue to do that and you really hold sacred your reputation in this game, you're going to realize that if you always put forward the results of those athletes, that's why I say it's not about the social media posts. For me, I feature their results and I document it as much as I possibly can. And these athletes know that when they go in, they absolutely dominate that next offseason and they've completely flipped their career or their next, their whatever it is around, or they were able to get that starting role or that scholarship or that pro contract. That's when you really start to know it's going to spread like wildfire and really start to add back to you. So I always say, make sure that all these tactics and strategies that you hold their development up the highest, because all that other noise is just that. It's just noise. If you can just stay in the trenches on a consistent basis and pull more and more and more out of your athletes, and that by the end of it, 3, 4, 5 months later, they've just absolutely turned into a monster and they go out there and they dominate and they've had the best season of their life, I promise you, they will continue to walk through that door and sign up for your services. So there you have it, coaches, a little bit different spin. I know it's not usually the training advice that I usually always try to provide, but I want to start to just be able to meet you guys and serve you guys where you guys are at. And I noticed that a lot of coaches started watching the channel. That's why I also created the podcast, so I could just be able to spit on certain topics. But I appreciate you guys. And if you're a coach and you're looking to get a little bit more guidance, go ahead and check out the link down below for our OTA University program. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.